Welcome back to the British Accent Podcast. I'm Emily.
And I'm Nick. Thanks for joining us again. Today's episode is going to be quite a fascinating one. We're talking about something that sounds poetic, mysterious, and honestly, kind of personal.
It really is. The topic is the English you dream in, what it says about your mind. Have you ever woken up from a dream and realized you were speaking English in it? It's weird at first, but also exciting.
Exactly. It makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Like, when did English stop being just something you learn and become part of your inner world? Because dreaming in a language, that's something deeper.
It's like your subconscious is finally saying, all right, this is part of who we are now. And I think a lot of people who are learning English wonder when that moment will come, or if it even means something about their progress.
That's the big question, isn't it? Some people see it as a milestone. Like, the moment you start dreaming in English, it means you've crossed over from translating everything in your head to actually thinking in English.
But is that really true? I mean, dreams are strange. Sometimes they mix up everything, languages, faces, places. I've had dreams where I'm back in school, but everyone's speaking English, even though we never did in real life.
That's the thing. Dreams don't always follow logic, but they do reflect what's been on your mind. So if you've been using English a lot, watching shows, listening to podcasts, or talking to people, it starts becoming part of the background noise of your brain.
Exactly. I remember a listener once messaged us and said, I had my first English dream last night, and I felt so proud. And I completely get that feeling. It's like your brain is finally acknowledging all the effort you've been putting in.
I think it's kind of beautiful in a way. Because dreaming in English isn't about being perfect or fluent. It's about exposure. It's about how comfortable your brain is with the language.
Totally. It's not a test. It's not like a final exam. It's more like your brain saying, hey, I know this now. I can use it, even when you're asleep.
And that's pretty wild when you think about it. Because language is one of the most personal things we carry. It's how we think, how we express who we are, even when we don't realize it.
Which makes me wonder, does the language you dream in say something about your identity? Or how much you've changed since you started learning?
So, let's talk about identity. When someone starts dreaming in a second language, I think it's more than just fluency. It shows that the language has started shaping the way you experience the world, even in your sleep.
That's so true. Language isn't just about words. It's about how you think, how you feel things. When English enters your dreams, maybe it means your emotional connection to the language is getting deeper.
I like that. Because in dreams, you're not thinking about grammar rules or pronunciation. You're just being. And if your mind chooses English in that moment, it says a lot about how naturally it's starting to fit into your inner voice.
Yeah. And for some people, that can feel confusing too. Like, if someone starts dreaming in English more often than their native language, it might even feel like their identity is shifting. And that's not a bad thing. It just means the mind is adapting.
Right. It doesn't mean you're losing your original self. It means you're growing. You're adding layers. It's like adding another color to your personality palette.
I love that image. Another color. And actually, when you can express different parts of yourself in different languages, it opens you up. You get access to new ways of thinking, even new humor, new emotions.
Yeah, like how some jokes are only funny in English, or how certain ideas feel more natural to express in one language than another. That's something a lot of bilingual people talk about.
Exactly. And dreams reflect all of that. They mix emotions, memories, habits, and even language exposure. So if you've been studying hard, listening to English before bed, or using it during the day, your dreams might start picking it up.
And the cool part is, you don't really control it. It's your subconscious making that decision. You don't say, "Tonight I'll dream in English." It just happens when your brain is ready.
Which makes it kind of magical, don't you think? It's like a quiet signal that says, you're getting there. Even if you don't feel fluent when you're awake, your brain is practicing in its own way.
And that's worth celebrating. You don't have to understand every word, or remember the full dream. Just knowing it happened means something important is going on inside.
Have you ever had a dream where you were speaking English and it felt completely natural?
I have, actually. And what's strange is that I didn't notice it was English until I woke up. In the dream, it was just me talking. It felt normal. But after waking up, I realized, wait, that entire conversation was in English.
That's the moment. When it stops feeling like a foreign language, and just becomes part of how your mind works. Like, your brain doesn't pause to switch languages, it just goes with the flow.
Exactly. And for learners, that can be such a confidence boost. Even if you still struggle during conversations in real life, that dream might be proof that your brain is starting to think differently.
It's all about patience. I know people who've been learning for years and only recently had their first English dream. And others who had one early on but didn't understand why.
Because it's not about speed, it's about immersion. The more you surround yourself with the language, reading, listening, speaking, the more likely your brain will start treating English like home.
And dreaming is just one of the signs. A powerful one, though. Like your subconscious is cheering you on.
So if someone's listening right now and they haven't dreamed in English yet, that's totally okay. It doesn't mean you're behind. It just means your brain is still getting used to it.
Absolutely. And when that first dream comes, don't stress about what happened in it. Just smile and know that you're making real progress, even when you're asleep.
And we're going to keep exploring what it really means to think in English. Because dreaming is only one part of the story.
Thinking in English is something a lot of learners ask about. They want to know when it'll happen, or how to force it. But I don't think it can be forced. It kind of grows over time, like a habit.
Yeah, and it usually starts small. You don't wake up one day and suddenly think in full paragraphs. It begins with simple things, like counting in English, reading signs, or thinking of what to say during a conversation.
Or even talking to yourself in English in your head. That's a big one. I know some learners who do that on purpose, like narrating what they are doing throughout the day. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm making coffee. I'm late again.
That's actually a great technique. Because your brain needs practice, and if you don't have someone to talk to all the time, thinking in English is the next best thing.
And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. I think dreaming in English is kind of like the final layer, but the thinking starts way before that.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. People worry about grammar even in their own thoughts, which is funny when you think about it. But honestly, if you're thinking, "Where is my phone?" instead of translating that from your native language, you're already there.
It's progress. Quiet, invisible progress. No one else sees it, but it means your brain is starting to make English automatic.
And once that switch happens, even just in small parts of your daily life, English stops being something you study and starts being something you live with.
And that's why people start to feel more confident. It's not just about vocabulary size or test scores, it's about comfort. Feeling like English is a tool, not a challenge.
Which brings us back to dreams. Because dreaming is such a natural, unfiltered process, it shows how deep that comfort goes. You don't get to plan your dreams, but they reveal what your mind has accepted as normal.
And if English shows up in that space, then your brain has really started to trust it. Even if you still hesitate when speaking, your subconscious doesn't.
It's kind of amazing, isn't it? You study a language long enough, and one night, while you're just trying to sleep, your brain says, "Let me take over. I've got this."
Yeah. It's like your brain is practicing without asking your permission. And in that way, dreams become the secret part of language learning that no one really talks about enough.
And they should. Because they remind us that language learning isn't just about discipline. It's also about connection. It's emotional, mental, even spiritual sometimes.
So when someone says, "I dreamed in English," it's not just interesting, it's meaningful. It means their brain has accepted English as part of who they are.
And honestly, that's one of the best feelings in the world for a language learner.
It really is. So maybe the goal isn't just fluency. Maybe it's reaching that point where the language is so familiar, it follows you into your dreams.
And when it does, it kind of changes your relationship with English. You stop seeing it as something separate from you. It becomes part of how you think, how you dream, how you feel.
That's powerful, because most people don't realize how much language affects their identity. You're not just learning vocabulary, you're also picking up a new way of seeing the world.
Yeah. Like, some languages have words that don't exist in others, right? So when you start understanding those words and using them, you're also opening your mind to new concepts.
And dreaming in a language kind of shows that you've started to internalize those ideas. They're not just in your textbook anymore, they're living in your imagination.
It's a sign of deep learning. Not just memorizing but actually integrating the language into your inner world. And that's something no test can really measure.
Exactly. You could get a perfect score on a grammar test and never dream in English. Or you could still be making little mistakes, but have your whole dream world in English. Which one matters more?
I'd say the second one. Because that shows real connection. It's not just performance, it's presence. Your brain is choosing English without effort.
And I think that's something learners need to hear more often. You don't need to speak perfectly for your mind to feel at home in English. The feeling of ease comes before perfection.
And sometimes that ease shows up in the middle of the night, when you're not trying, when you've stopped thinking so hard about learning.
And that's the irony, right? The harder you try to force it, the more pressure you put on yourself. But when you relax, when you just live with the language, it starts to settle in naturally.
That's why immersion is so important. Not just living in an English-speaking country, but creating an English environment around you, music, podcasts, books, even your phone settings.
Yeah, those small changes build up over time. And eventually, your brain stops seeing English as foreign. It becomes just normal.
And when English becomes normal, that's when you start dreaming in it. Not because you planned it, but because it makes sense for your mind.
It's like the brain chooses the language that feels closest to what it needs in the dream. If English is part of your daily thoughts, then it shows up.
I think that's what makes dreaming such a meaningful signal. It shows your relationship with the language is no longer just conscious. It's subconscious too.
And that's the goal for so many learners, even if they don't know it. They want English to feel like something they live in, not something they fight with.
And when that shift happens, when you stop translating, when you start thinking and feeling in English, that's when the dream feels real.
And once it does, it changes how you speak when you're awake. You start feeling more at ease, more instinctive, like your words are just there without you searching for them.
It becomes natural speech, not memorized speech. And that's the difference between knowing a language and owning it.
I like that phrase, owning the language. Because when people start learning English, they often feel like they're borrowing it. Like it doesn't really belong to them.
Yeah. They think, this isn't my language, or, I'm just using it, but it's not mine. But over time, it shifts. Especially when you stop needing permission to use it. You just speak. You just think. You just dream.
And part of that shift is emotional too. Because language is deeply tied to how we express who we are. And if you can express your thoughts and emotions in English while dreaming, it shows trust. Your brain trusts the language.
Which is huge. Because that trust doesn't come overnight. It comes from hours of exposure, making mistakes, feeling awkward, and still choosing to keep going.
I think that's what people forget sometimes. They wait for the dream as if it's proof of success. But really, the dream is more like a mirror. It shows what's already been growing quietly in the background.
Right. And it might not even be a full dream. Maybe it's just one sentence in English. Or one character in the dream who speaks to you in English. But even that means something.
And for a lot of learners, those small moments can be incredibly motivating. Because they realize, I didn't think about the grammar. I just understood it. I just responded. It flowed.
It's raw language use. No pressure, no correction. Just the way your brain naturally works when the rules are stripped away.
And that makes me wonder, what kind of English shows up in people's dreams? Is it formal, like classroom English? Or is it more casual, conversational, the way people actually speak?
That's a great question. I imagine it's often based on the input people get. So if you're used to watching movies, or listening to podcasts like this one, the English in your dreams might be more natural, more fluid.
Yeah, like your dream version of English reflects the English you actually hear every day. Which makes input even more important. You want your mind to pick up language that feels alive, not stiff or robotic.
That's why variety matters too. Listen to different accents. Different contexts. Serious conversations, funny ones, emotional ones. Give your brain a full range of English to play with.
Because when it comes out in a dream, it won't be edited or corrected. It'll be exactly what's been soaking in. So if you feed your mind real, human English, that's what it will build with.
And I think it also explains why dreams can be a good learning moment too. Even if you wake up and only remember a part of it, write it down. Reflect on it. Ask yourself where that sentence came from. Why that scene?
Yeah, like using your dreams as part of your practice. Not just waiting for them, but using them to learn. If you can remember the words you used, or how it felt, that's real mental training.
And maybe it shows you what you're emotionally ready to say. Sometimes we know vocabulary, but we're not comfortable saying certain things in English yet. But in dreams, we do.
That's a really interesting point. Like your subconscious is giving you permission to speak more freely. No pressure, no fear of mistakes, no one listening.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes dreams such a powerful part of the learning journey. They give you a glimpse into your real voice in the language, without fear, without rules, just you using the words that feel right.
And that's a beautiful thing to witness, even if it only lasts a few seconds. It means something is working. Something is changing inside, even if you can't explain it yet.
So if you've ever dreamed in English, or even just had a single sentence float through your mind while you were half asleep, that matters. It's not just a random event. It's your brain showing you how far you've come.
And if it hasn't happened yet, don't worry. It doesn't mean you're not learning. Everyone's mind works differently. Just keep surrounding yourself with English, through listening, speaking, reading, and let it grow naturally.
Exactly. Focus on connection, not perfection. Because the more you live with the language, the more it'll live inside you, even in the quietest parts of your mind.
Thanks for joining us today on the British Accent Podcast. We loved exploring this topic with you, and we hope it gave you a new way to think about your English journey.
We'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, keep listening, keep learning, and maybe, pay attention to what language shows up when you dream tonight.
Take care, and see you next time.